clean girl. Two words that somehow became one of the most aspirational beauty identities on the internet. But I've been thinking a lot about the word clean lately. Like, why is that the word we chose for an aesthetic? Definitely an interesting word to pick. The clean girl aesthetic, if you haven't encountered it yet, is dewy skin, slicked back hair, usually in a low bun or a ponytail, gold hoops, no makeup, which means confusingly makeup that looks like it hasn't been applied at all. A general air of, I've just woken up like this, eaten something healthy like an acai bowl, and went to Pilates and spin class, and just showed up like this. Arrived here completely unruffled by the concept of effort. The aesthetic emerged on TikTok in late 2021. It peaked in 2022. It got criticized, defended, it evolved. And as of right now, in 2026, there are 1.2 million videos on TikTok using the hashtag #CleanGirl. And I think the reason why it's gotten bigger is the same reason why it just never died out in the first place, which has very little to do with makeup and quite a lot to do with something else, much deeper. And I want to be upfront about this. I'm not trying to tell anybody that the clean girl aesthetic is bad. If that's your style, that's your style, okay? No one's judging you for that. But what I wanted to point out is the language that we use in beauty and how that can be interesting or just harmful. I want to talk about how it relates to the past and how these narratives of beauty keep repeating itself to the younger generations. Because history does, in fact, repeat itself. I want to start off with the word itself. Clean. What does that mean? Not natural, not minimal, not effortless, which is a word that gets used often in this context. Every brand that uses the word clean gets to define it themselves, which means something slightly different on every bottle that it appears on, which means functionally it means nothing, which means that it's a purely emotional claim. Yet it works enormously well. Clean beauty has grown into a multi-billion-dollar market segment, specifically because the word clean makes people feel something before they've even read the bottle. Clean implies the existence of dirty. That's just how language works. If you describe your house as clean, you are explicitly saying that other houses are not. If you're describing your eating habits as clean, you are describing other eating habits as something else. And if you describe your beauty as clean, as the highest possible compliment, you are, whether you are intending it or not, calling other beauty trends not. What does dirty look like even in the context of beauty? Does it look like visible effort, color, maximalism, decoration, ornamentation? The opposite of restrained and neutral and minimal? Well, there's a lot to know about our long history of beauty. And it goes back centuries. And we as humans tend to repeat a lot. There is a feminist scholar named Sandra Lee Bartke who wrote what she called the feminine beauty system, the set of practices and standards that women are expected to maintain. And one of the most consistent features of that system across history is this paradox. Women are expected to be beautiful, and they're expected to appear as though they're not trying to be beautiful. Visible effort is penalized. The goal is to always look like you simply arrived this way. You can trace this to pretty much every decade in the 20th century. The heroin chic look of the 1990s, early 2010s, model off-duty aesthetic. One writer described it perfectly. There's a certain kind of woman that we're always told to aspire to be. She's a French girl drifting through Paris in a ruffled button-down and a messy bun. She is, above all, effortless. The 2026 academic paper, Navigating the Beauty Bind, looked specifically at how women experience beauty standards. In the paper, it said, women are required to pursue beauty while actively being judged for caring about beauty. They have to strive for effortless beauty while steering clear from what the researchers called pathologized femininity, meaning caring too much, putting in too much effort, being seen trying. And it's the tale as old as time. You must be beautiful but not care about being beautiful, or you must not appear to care about being beautiful. And those two things don't coexist, but you're expected to perform both simultaneously, indefinitely, and without complaint. But quickly, I want to be clear about something because I think it's easy to slip into unfair territory. I believe the clean girl aesthetic is not low effort. I think it just wants to look like it is. The dewy skin itself requires, at minimum, probably several high-end products, microneedling, and treatments. The no makeup look that defines clean girl beauty involves, at minimum, a tinted moisturizer, concealer, cream, blush, brow gel, lip liner, a gloss, a setting spray, applied with enough skill so that it still remains invisible. The slick back hair requires a specific gel, a specific brush type. A creator called the clean girl aesthetic less about what you wear and more about what you signal. Routine, access to quality skincare, and the kind of time and resources that most people just don't have. Because what clean girl aesthetic is selling under the gold hoops and the dewy skin is a very specific tell about class. It's a visual language of being able to afford enough money but not show it off. Enough financial security to not eat ramen noodles, but eat the things that make your skin look like that. And that's the genius of it. It works so well on the basis of being an aspiration and not just a silly trend that's going to die out in a couple years. Unlike a luxury item, these things are achievable through the person's body and face. The product is yourself. The status is worn visibly. Multiple writers, journalists, and academics have pointed out something about the clean girl aesthetic that really caused debate when it first arose in 2022. Elements that describe a clean girl look have a much longer and larger history in Black and Latina culture. One thing I want to mention that I'm just going to touch on, because honestly, I believe that it's not really my place to say because I'm not myself a part of those communities, but all of those trends have documented history in communities that didn't get the same aesthetic credit when they were doing it. A Refinery 29 investigation was investigating a clean beauty movement, quoted a brand founder who said, "Even the word clean implies that other perfectly fine products may be dirty. And I don't think that there should be any superiority in how you care for yourself." Another founder said, "Western beauty as a whole has historically been associated with whiteness, and that has had a long-lasting effect on who gets a say and a seat at the table." And I don't want to overstate this because I don't think everyone who's doing a slick back bun is obviously trying to do it in that way. I don't think any of the average TikTok user is consciously thinking about this when they participate in these trends. But I do think it's very interesting when a trend who codes itself as like the most clean baseline version of beauty is actually not. It has always been a very specific look with a very specific history. And the word clean is doing quiet ideological work that rewards some people rather than others. And listen, I've been talking about clean girl aesthetic like it exists in isolation, but it does not. In roughly that same period when the clean girl aesthetic was peaking in popularity around 2022, 2023, 2024, a different but adjacent trend was sort of blowing up in the distance. The trad wife. If you haven't seen this type of content, it's women, usually young women, usually conventionally beautiful and very like feminine looking, cooking elaborate meals for their husbands from scratch and raising their kids on a farm, tending gardens and wearing like milkmaid dresses. You could see a very specific aesthetic argument on what femininity should look like. Now, on the surface, obviously, clean girl and trad wife look completely different. But if you pull back the curtain a bit, they both kind of have a very similar architecture to the way that they are. Both are organized around a particular idea that femininity is composed, controlled, soft, non-threatening. Both present as a woman obviously putting in an enormous effort, but who appears aesthetically to have done none of it. Both use the language of naturalness and authenticity to sell a very constructed performance. And both, in an aesthetic sense of the word, are extraordinarily clean. A 2024 analysis in a fashion publication connected these dots and noted that the beauty trends immediately preceding the 2024 US election, the no makeup movement, quiet luxury, clean girl, trad wife, together painted a picture of what was described as stereotypical, traditional, and harmless femininity. Non-threatening, modest, domestic, a particular version of womanhood that is aesthetically very easy to approve of. And I'm not trying to say that anybody that does their makeup in a clean girl way is trying to make a political statement. I want to be very clear on that because I don't want people to get offended by this. But I do think that aesthetics are never just aesthetics. The things that become aspirational, the things that get millions of views, they reflect something about what culture is rewarding and fantasizing about in this particular moment in time. And the particular fantasy that has been in the early 2020s so far consistently been a woman that looks clean and soft and unthreatening. There's a study published in the Quarterly Journal of Experimental Psychology where researchers gave 44 women makeup and told them to apply it as they normally would for a night out. They photographed the women before and after, and then they showed these photographs in a gradient from no makeup to full makeup to a separate group of men and women and asked them to rate what they found most attractive. The results were that men consistently preferred significantly less makeup than the women had applied, and the conclusions was that the researchers wrote this. Women are likely wearing cosmetics to appeal to the mistaken preferences of others. Mistaken preferences of others, meaning women collectively, over a long period of time, have been wearing more makeup than men actually want them to wear. Research confirms that women who wear no makeup are actually treated worse by men in social settings, but women who wear obvious heavy makeup are seen as less attractive. The sweet spot that men respond to the most is a look that is described as natural, is what the beauty industry calls no makeup. What many men perceive as natural is actually just a minimal layer of makeup. Gillian Flynn in Gone Girl wrote something about this that probably became one of the most quoted passages about gender and performance and femininity in the last 20 years. Her character, Amy Dunn, is what is described as cool girl. The cool girl is the woman who eats burgers and drinks beers and never gets angry and is game for anything, while somehow remaining a size 2. She's hot, she's fun, she never gets angry at her man, and she pulls it off while appearing to make zero effort. But alas, the cool girl myth is but a myth created by man. We are living in a chaotic cultural moment at the moment. Post-pandemic, economically uncertain, informationally overwhelming. And the clean girl aesthetic at its core is about control. Everything is in order. The skincare routine has steps. The hair is slicked back, contained. Nothing is out of place. No stray hairs. Her room is uncluttered. It has nothing. There's documented psychological research showing that when people feel a lack of control in their external environment, they compensate by seeking controls of ways that they can reach. Their appearance, their routines, their space. Wellness has become moralized. These things have moved from being a personal choice to a state of who you are, a signal of your character. And brands do know this, by the way. Rhode specifically is a clean girl aesthetic beauty company. Glossier specifically, again, a clean girl aesthetic beauty company. And I don't want to be too deep into the analysis before I say, dewy skin looks really good. And hoop earrings, love it. I mean, I might not agree fully with the clean girl aesthetic, but that's just me. And I honestly, my friend's very, very into clean girl makeup, and we joke about it all the time where she's like, I'm going to do a slick back bun on you, and I'm like, please don't. And then I do big hair on her. I don't have anything against clean girl aesthetic, but I find it to have interesting wording that's used. But I will say, the particular idea that a woman's best version is a controlled, soft, composed, clean, unthreatening woman is something I don't agree with. So here's what I think. I think the word clean is doing something worth paying attention to. I mean, it's doing what good marketing words always do. It makes you feel something specific before you even have time to think about what that means. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. Enjoy it, but with a little bit more information than you had before on it. And maybe a new perspective. Anyways, hi, I'm Isabella, and thank you for listening and joining me today. Ah! Do you guys like the new... Guys, I got a new light. Can you see me? You can see me. Remember I got a comment saying that my videos were too dark? Well, I got a light. I actually got it for photography, but I was like, hey, let's use this thing. It's right there. Also, I've been dealing with a fractured toe. Guys, I literally spent like 9 hours in the hospital the other day. It's been very hectic in my life. I stubbed it very hard on like one of those couch legs. I'm an idiot. Who does that? I have a fractured toe, and guess what the hospital did about it? Nothing. Nothing. They were like, we're gonna yank it. And I was like, yank it. And they were like, yank it. And then they yanked it, and then I screamed. And then they were like, yeah, so we can't really do anything about it. So you're just gonna have to let that heal. And let me tell you, it's a very awkward bone to break because you're like fine, but like you also can't like do regular things like walk and like go to the gym and stuff, but like you're like fine enough to go to work. So don't worry. Anyways, yeah, it's been so hectic. I'm so sorry I had to skip last week's upload. I was like I literally had the whole video ready. I couldn't record because my literal toe broke like 2 days before I was supposed to record. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you liked this. I was thinking about this the other day when I was talking to my friend who loves the clean girl aesthetic. So I really, really hope you liked this. It was interesting to research. And also it came from a lot of like perspectives from like obviously my own femininity and like my own makeup style. And like always, if you had fun this time, you should subscribe because I guarantee you'll have fun next time because I do post every other Monday. Love ya. Great to see ya. See you next time. Bye.